Hello and welcome to another episode of Low Tech Health. Let ourselves translate expert knowledge. Today is actually Sunday, and instead of making a forgive my foul mouth Saturday or Sunday when I'm late, I've decided to make a couple new segments. So today, since it's Sunday, and a lot of people hold church and their religious services on Sundays, the Lord's Day, we're going to have a Save Our Souls Sunday, in which we discuss things that scare us, and things that make us perhaps act a little more like an animal than we'd like to. So let's get the big one out of the way. What are we all most afraid of? Death, generally. Death in public speaking, oddly enough, which you wonder what in the Christian's mindset is more of a public speech than that talk with good old St. Peter at the gates of heaven. Because that's going to be the most publicly exposing time when you have to talk. Why are people so afraid to talk in public? Especially with the explosion of social media. It doesn't make any sense because they're obviously willing to be heard, willing to be known in a very large forum, but not with their voice, not with their speech. You see quite a few people tweet, which is easy to do. You type out some words and you click send. Sometimes those catch fire and people become popular. But that doesn't mean that that popular person is all of a sudden good at public speaking. They're actually not. And in fact, they still have to deal with all those fears and inadequacies and those little idiosyncrasies that all public speakers must go through when they practice and they learn and they try to speak extemporaneously or without notes, without real guidance. So, how can you save someone's soul who doesn't want to speak, who doesn't want to open up with what their issues are? You can't. You can't. That's why it is very hard, if not impossible, to treat a patient's pain. Back in 1964, this guy named Cohn said that pain is whatever the patient says it is. And through that, pain has become one of the most important vital signs to healthcare because when a patient comes into the hospital saying they have a specific type of pain, mainly chest pain, ding, 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 it's a warning sign. And we have to take it seriously because, again, pain is whatever the patient says it is. If they say it's chest pain, we have to go through a set of cardiac workup. So they have to get troponins drawn, which is a blood level to show whether the heart has ripped itself apart and is in the process of shredding, because we trend it. Every 6 hours we'll do another troponin to see if it's rising or falling. Sometimes I do CKMB, sometimes they test myoglobin, but generally it's troponin. And on top of that, they'll do an EKG, which is it's like what they do with those stickers when they come to the hospital. They put these stickers here, a couple stickers here, and then one in the middle, a grounding one. And that's if it's 5 leads, that helps see what your heart is doing in 5 different pictures. But the 12 lead will check it out in 12. Well, it's actually 10 stickers, but it'll check it out in 12 different pictures. Put one on your wrists and legs and on your arms, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Opposite, because it's on the left. But for you, I'll do it sideways. And some people do have dextrocardia, where their heart, instead of being on their left side of their chest cavity, is on the right. That's a fun one. So they'll do that workup because you said that you had chest pain. Sometimes it's the truth. Sometimes people do this little thing called lying in order to get hospitalized. Why? Because we're really fun to be around. And we give a lot of awesome drugs. So that is a problem. Lying has been nurtured in the healthcare system. So to save our souls on this Sunday, I think we need to empower our healthcare workers to call those liars out and to find out how to better call them out. because they're a bane of society. They're a scourge on the hospital system, and they're what we call drug seekers, because all they're doing to come to the hospital is tell us that they're hurting. Usually they have a chronic problem, and they get put into this little category called munchy because they undiagnosed have Munchausen's disease, where they could get better if they follow the rules that we say, but they're not going to. They have problems tolerating. They know how to use our words, tolerating the BiPAP or tolerating something that will help give them oxygen. So they make demands. They say, this is the only thing that will work for my pain. I can't remember the name of it. It starts with a D. Dilaudid. Yeah, that's right. That is it. Of course, it's the only thing that works. And I need a milligram of it, not 2.25 or 0.5, which, for those who don't know, Dilaudid is hospital heroin. Yeah. People come to the hospital, get admitted just so they could do this nasty little drug that helps them feel like they're good. And they'll make demands. As soon as you give them that Dilaudid, they'll say, actually, you know what'll really work? Ketamine and a BiPAP. That's a ketamine drip and a BiPAP. That'll sort me right out. Like it's a product. And how am I supposed to tell them that it's not a product? Because they've worked the system. And it's up to you people who vote and say that it's so important, even though you voted in a fucking old man and you killed Alex Trebek. And this other woman who's below this old man, who people who voted said, they've literally said, don't think about the president when you vote for him. Think about the vice president that you're voting in. It's not how that works. It's absurd. Plus, he's a bad guy. He had the Rave Act, which is the reason why festivals are not safe to do drugs anymore, even though kids will do drugs at festivals because it's one of the only safe places to do them, with lots of lights, lots of activities. It's only true drug carnival to experiment, which they're going to do, and you won't let them do it at high school. So they'll drop out, and they'll figure out how to do it because they want to, and you've told them that they're bad, and they know that they're not. They know that they're good, so they know that you're lying to them. And then number two, they know that they can do them without you knowing, because the authority and the adults are so out of it. They have no idea when their kids are on drugs because they've encouraged them to lie to the parents. Anyways, our little parent, Biden, made the Rave Act and sponsored it and said that, these guys who run festivals ought to be responsible for every single person who does drugs at their festival. So we'll make that now the law, which they did. And before that, people had walked around these festivals with little kits called like bunk kits, and they help test bad drugs because people die from bad drugs. I see it. I work those medical staff nights in those festivals, and they die. It's insane. They do too much. Their friends run because they don't want to be in trouble, and then it's just me trying to figure out what their allergies are, what their preconceived notions. That's important, but that's not really. But they're pre-medical conditions. They're existing conditions prior to doing drugs, and I don't know, because the families run, the kids run, and nobody's there doing drugs safely with that kid. And Biden has made it a little less safe because they can't test them, because the bunk police are now forbidden from festivals because of the implication of the festival goers being the source of blame and the source of many, many, many millions of dollars of lawsuits. Bullshit. It's a lie. It's fake. You can't make people stop doing drugs by making them illegal, especially at festivals. They're just going to hide them and get better at hiding them until they die. And then we'll go, we didn't know they were doing them. And Kamala Harris, let's start in on that bitch. She made sure people were not getting out of jail because they are active labor. They're slave labor. And it's good money if you can get people to work without paying them, which kindly is what's been done with the Democratic Party. Not to be a total partyist, because I don't believe in either one. I think both those idiots or old, decrepit motherfuckers who don't need to be in the office and don't not need to be deciding the fate of people who are my age and younger. And teenagers do not need to be deciding teenagers' fate. But there's this idea that the government is your parent and they can help. They can help if you give enough power to them, but they're not. They're not. They're going to enslave you. They're going to continue to make you less questioning, less curious, more acceptable of the status quo. And the ants will go marching on. It's a 10-minute podcast. I'm cutting it. All right. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow on Meatless Eatless Middle Mushroom Monday. Thanks for listening.